We just had another Trio Cash Cup finals. We got to see finally who the best trio in the world is, the first to go back to back to back. We also saw whether Peterbot Uncontested could win with his new trio. And I want to close out today's video talking about why 2 pro teams were just banned for 14 days, disqualifying them from the next FNCS, and why a lot of people are saying that other pros should be getting banned for this as well. It's a pretty crazy situation. Let's jump into it. We have yet again another Trio Cash Cup finals. I know it seems really weird because I just made a video a few days ago about Trio Cash Cup. We have another finals for the Opens that was like 4 or 5 days ago. It's a bit strange, but it was a super exciting tournament. We had Aegis, Ritual, and Cold almost bring home the back-to-back Trio Cash Cup finals win. It was spoiled by none other than Acorn, Peterbot, and Kanata. They brought home the finals win. A lot of people were expecting a couple of days ago. They had a few issues being contested off spawn. Now they were going in uncontested Grotto, Mythic Minigun on Hide. Everything was looking amazing, but it started off a little bit slow. They decided they were going to give the minigun to Acorn for their early and mid-game fights rather than Kanata, allowing Kanata to pressure and play off Peterbot a little bit more, and then they'd give the minigun back to Kanata in endgame. Now, for whatever reason, this just didn't really work the way they were intending. They did take a fight with Aegis, Ritual, and Cold over at Sweaty Sands. Unfortunately, Acorn actually got dropped in the box, taken down, and things were looking pretty rough. A lot of people had the same idea as me. I thought, that's it, Peterbot is dropping Acorn and Kanata. I'm about to make a whole nother video on a new set of Snake Innings. It's over. They didn't win the last Cash Cup. They've currently had 2 rough games. It's over. But they changed up the strategy. They started giving the minigun to Kanata, and everything changed. In the next 4 games, they got a 19 elim win, a 17 elim win, a 6 elim 9th, and then a 10 elim win. They played phenomenally well when they just went back to what they do. So it just seems like Kanata is the ultimate support player. There's been so many memes going around, but there's just something about who he prioritizes with the minigun, how he plays off Peterbot, how he applies the pressure, that is just working so incredibly well for this trio. They played phenomenally well. Kanata streamed all of it, so they are completely taking over, and it was really fun to watch. Their vibes were actually pretty good. Other than the first 2 games where things started to look a little bit sketchy, Kanata, in very Kanata fashion, got the boys hyped up, got them excited, said, we're gonna bring one of the best comebacks we've seen, and they did just that. And you got to remember, Aegis, Ritual, and Cold had the opposite start. They kicked off the tournament with a 16 kill win and then a 10 kill 8th. They were playing phenomenally well. Meanwhile, Acorn, Peterbot, and Kanata had basically no points in the first 2 games. We also had Batman, Booga, Mason, Yomzo, another phenomenal trio right now, get a 6 elim 3rd and a 7 elim 2nd. So things were looking really rough for Peterbot's team. They had multiple other phenomenal teams to contend with, and they had a massive comeback. It was super exciting to watch. Again, I don't want to talk about the whole video with this. We did unfortunately have some very suspiciously good aiming teams with very few events played in the NA tournament. I don't know why EU finals, it feels like there's almost no hackers in NA. They are just everywhere. It didn't interrupt some of the best teams this time around. Acorn, Peterbot, and Kanata were free. There wasn't a whole bunch of the teams around them at Grotto, which made all the difference and made them perform a lot better than they did a few days ago. Now, unfortunately, it did affect really big teams like Bucky, Okus, and Craze ended up coming 18th. They actually went down to what I would say is definitely suspicious teams 4 out of the 6 games. So there are some teams on this leaderboard that didn't really have as good of a showing as some of the other teams. I've already talked about in my most recent video and my most recent react video why I know cheating is a big issue right now, but why I think it'll be better next chapter. You can go watch either of those at the end of this video if you want my thoughts on it. Now, we had Rapid, Poyo, and Bolt in 5th place. Again, a lot of people have been talking about how Poyo has been consistently outplacing Peterbot, but this time they took a seat back. They were in 5th place overall. Still a phenomenal performance considering. Then Mero, Booga, and Threats in 6th place. They were contested off spawn at the Dog Pound for a lot of the tournament as well. They were supposed to be contested. I saw a couple games they weren't. I don't know if they were contested every game, but they had a phenomenal performance. We had Victor V, Paper, and Curly, Barker, Paz, and Pump, and then Fredbot's team rounding out the top 10. It was a super exciting tournament. It was very, very fun. This is the last tournament we have before the Caddy launcher is being added to the game. I have no idea how that one is going to affect it. I don't know who's going to try and lock down the Caddy launcher. Right now, I don't think Acorn, Peterbot, and Kanata will be leaving the Grotto. The Mythic Minigun is just way too powerful. You get that on high ground, you get in the hands of Kanata, it just applies a ridiculous amount of pressure, and it's really hard to overcome. But the Caddy launcher is basically free hide. You can shockwave yourself up, you can shockwave other people out. It is really insane. One thing I do want to point out though, and I feel like this might be a big issue for Fortnite, potentially however they're going to do it with rocket spawns, we might not actually have that much rocket ammo around the map to then be able to allow the shockwave launcher to be as powerful. I'm guessing they'll probably just have rockets go out of the ammo crates and everything like that, so even without, you know, having the actual rocket powered weapons, if there's only one weapon on the map that uses rockets, it should still be okay. But it's one of those weird things that I could see Epic messing up, and it isn't quite as strong as what we think it's going to be, or it's going to be as strong as it used to be, and whoever gets it is winning the Trio Cash Cup. I don't know at this point. Moving on over to EU, we did have a trio come out with the back-to-back Trio Cash Cup finals win. Vico, Veno, and Flixi coming in first place on 406 points, playing 6 matches and winning 3 of them. Now, this may as well have been a 4-game tournament for them. Basically, they set the goal of making sure they win the tournament as quickly as possible in case they start getting contested in the last few games, as a lot of people have eyes on the Grotto. We have tweets proving that their goal was to try to win the Cash Cup in 4 games, and they did exactly that. They got a 12 elim win, 22 elim win, 9 elim 10th, and a 20 elim win. So they had 2 20+ kill wins in finals. Then they got a 14 elim 11th. Veno was in my Twitch chat just saying they just overheated. They went crazy. They're having too much fun. They knew they won the tournament. They started W-king everyone. They also got a 6 elim 28th. So they pretty much did win the Trio Cash Cup in 4 games. It was done and dusted. They were playing phenomenally well. Again, you get the minigun in the hand of a trio this good, you get them on height, and the tournament is over. It's because of watching them in the morning that I was so confident Peterbot's team was going to win the trio finals later on NA. A lot of people question my prediction. Aussie, Cold's team is about to go back to back to back. They're playing so well. Why are you picking Peterbot's team? This minigun is absurd, and it's honestly made me change a lot of my opinion on medallions and mythics. I've kind of gone back and forward over the years. I've really liked how medallions, you know, make an exciting storyline of the best teams going at it, who can lock it down. Sometimes they go down on spawn, but if they don't, they have an advantage. But at the moment, it seems like some teams have gotten so good, so much better or scarier than other teams. They are locking down these mythic POIs without being contested at all. And when that happens, it's just impossible to beat them. And that's what it feels like right now with this minigun. It is just constant pressure, constant damage. If you look at Kanata's stats from the tournament, he shot almost 8,000 shots in the tournament, and you got to remember, he didn't even have the minigun for the first 2 games. It is just an absurd amount of pressure, and I don't think it's fair that one team has that big advantage. You can disagree with me, that's totally fine. I don't know what Epic's going to do in Chapter 6. I just think it's getting a little bit boring for the storylines. Now these teams are getting them so often uncontested that it just makes it feel like one team has too much of an advantage. I don't mind if someone has a better POI, maybe it's got more shield, maybe it's in a better position, better material, you get better loot in general, but when you get one gun or a medallion that does something that no one else on the map can do, it starts to feel a little bit weird. And I feel a lot of people are like this in pubs and ranks. You already have the idea that the best player in the lobby is already the best, and then you give them items and abilities no one else has. It just makes an absolute snowball effect. People are sick of pubs and ranked fighting the best player in their lobby who now has an ability to do something they can't even do. Again, some of you guys might love playing with the medallions. I'm not trying to speak for everyone. If Epic keeps the medallions or mythics in, as always, I'll make the best of it. Hopefully they balance, they make it enjoyable, but I know a lot of people after watching the EU and NA today are saying that I really hope mythics don't come back next chapter. Leakers have said there is in the game files minor medallions. I don't really know what that means. Maybe they'll be weaker, maybe they won't be as powerful, they might not be added to the game, but at this point it looks like we might get medallions in Chapter 6. We just don't know yet. Now in second place on EU, we had Pablo, Bevies, and Marius, which is really exciting to see Marius back on top of the leaderboard. He's gone through a few different trios now. He managed to win once he split up with Mongrel. He then got dropped from that trio. Now he's back to second place with Pablo and Bevies, 2 players who I absolutely love watching. They're phenomenally good, really, really exciting players, and that is a very, very scary trio going forward. Now, we had a name on the leaderboard we have not seen for such a long time: Hen, Marco, and Faki. And yes, that is Hen as in FNCS champion Hen. He is back. He is playing phenomenally well. He's kind of been playing all the way through. There's been a few times in my videos I've mentioned how he's made an FNCS Grand Finals or he's had a pop-off performance, but seeing him on a top 3 podium finish on the leaderboard with Marco and Faki, 2 very underrated players, I'm super excited to see this trio going forward. They streamed it all. It was really, really exciting. And we had another player in 4th who I think a lot of people are going to be excited to see on a leaderboard, Moneymaker, Cringe, and Fnayan. They came in 4th place overall. They played really, really well, and I know a lot of people, as far as social media goes, are excited to see Moneymaker back on top of the leaderboards. He's streaming, he's still making stupid memes on TikTok, but he's placing a lot better than he started to throughout the rest of this year. So it's really cool to see. I don't know whether this is like maybe he's just a trios player, maybe it's because it's hit scan, maybe it's, I don't know, he started grinding, he looks like a different player, he's playing phenomenally well, still sounds and acts like the old Moneymaker, which makes it even more fun. Seeing him goof around and mess around but still place this well has been really exciting. We also got to see a name we haven't seen on the leaderboard a lot in the last couple of seasons, but a lot of people are expecting to, Tayson. We have iDrop, Trulex, and Tayson in 5th place overall, a new trio that is playing extremely well. I was super excited to watch them play. 242 points. They had a very consistent placement match history, 4th, 11th, 12th, 4th, 6th, 7th. They need a few more top 3s, maybe some more elims, and they are very, very much in that top 3 running. We also had Relvis's team in 7th, Seti's team in 8th, Turtle in 9th, and then Ping, Sined, and Malabuka in 10th. I wanted to finish off this video talking about how we've had 2 pro teams banned for 14 days for surge trading. Now, I don't want to go into too much of the detail of what surge trading is. If you've been watching competitive Fortnite, you have a rough idea, but basically, it's just the idea that teams will trade surge with each other. They'll deal damage to another team. That team will deal damage to them, and they have no intention of actually fighting, and it is a premeditated decision. They've messaged them, they've gotten a call with them, they've communicated with that team, hey, you set up on that hill, I set up on this house, we use our extra shields to tag each other, and then we rotate and play our game out. Obviously, there's a form of teaming, but it's something that a lot of pros and teams have been accused of doing recently. A lot of people have asking that different players get banned for this. It was a huge issue during the surge meta with the cacti. We had obviously completely regenerating shield plants around the map, which just led to so many people standing up, dealing damage, going down and hitting their plants, dealing damage, hitting their plants. It became a big problem. We've had other seasons where this has happened as well, but no one's really been punished for it. Not since Bucky and Creo got punished, banned for 60 days in Chapter 2 for doing this with Slax's team. And it's gotten so much worse than it did then. A lot of people confused why Epic hasn't done anything about it. It's really, really hard to define when a team is just doing smart surge tags. Obviously, it's kind of normal in Comp Fortnite to set up on a high place and get damage on a player. Sometimes they'll take shots back at you. You don't have any intention of fighting them. You just want to get your surge and rotate on. That's become very standard procedure in Fortnite. And again, I'm fine with that. You clearly haven't, talked to that team. You're not like, hey man, stand still. I'll hit you twice. You hit me once in the head and we'll rotate on. No, it's just a player rotating and you deal damage on them. But what happened here with Predage and Gabix's team looked a lot more like something premeditated. It got the attention of people like Destiny Jesus, who made tweets pointing out that you wouldn't play like this or make peaks like this unless you were pretty confident the other team wasn't going to fight you. Every single game, 6 games out of 6 in the finals, they were trading, 10 plus snipes on each other with what looked like no intention to actually fight each other. Now, again, it's very hard to define whether this was actually premeditated. They're both Italian teams. They've both played together in the past. It's made a lot of accusations around this, but we've had other teams and other players do things that look incredibly suspicious like this. So, understandably, Predage and Gabix's team is frustrated they're the only ones being punished for this. Also, because their punishment now means they can't play the next FNCS. The current rule is if you get banned for 14 days, you're ineligible from playing the current FNCS, but if there is no current FNCS, you can't play the next one either. Now, I think for the future of competitive Fortnite, Epic actioning and banning people for surge trading is very fair and is something they should have been doing a long time ago. I think almost every single player agrees about that, and the reason why Predage and Gabix have been so frustrated on social media is they found other examples of other teams or players who they think were doing exactly what they were doing or have done worse in the past, and none of them have been punished. Why are they? I just think Epic wanted to make an example of a team, and because snipers are in, it makes it even more suspicious when people are over peaking with snipers and grapples and not trying to fight, and it looked suspicious. They said, hey, enough is enough. We're sick of this. We're banning both these teams. I do think banned from the next FNCS is a little bit harsh. I know a lot of teams and a lot of players have kind of gone to the point in Comp Fortnite where they almost feel like they need to trade surge. Some players arguing that it's just become a strategy where even if they've had no conversation with any player or team around them, they'll see someone up in a base, they'll build up in a base, they might as well deal damage to each other. I'm not going to key him if I take him out because his teammates are nearby and my teammates are far away. Is that now surge trading? That's the problem. It's never been properly defined by Epic, and even after this ban, they haven't properly defined it. I want to hear Epic come out with an official statement, some kind of maybe reasoning behind what they did, so players have something to go off. but I think players being scared to push the boundaries and try these kind of things is a good thing. A lot of players have gotten way too comfortable doing this. So I would like to see potentially something where Predage and Gabix's team can play the next FNCS, but they're banned from the rest of the Cash Cups this season. That's still they're missing out on thousands of dollars. They already both just placed top 5 in the most recent Trio Cash Cup. They have those earnings taken away from them. They've gotten a fair bit of punishment. I just think an FNCS disqualification is a little bit much, but you can decide on that yourself. You can see where you stand on it. That's just my opinion.